The best iPad to buy in 2018 is a tricky answer for us because there are quite a few Apple tablets on sale today. The iPad Pro is certainly the most powerful, and that comes in two sizes: the massive iPad Pro 12.9-inch version and the flagship 10.5-inch edition. But neither are the best for average consumers looking to save money. The slightly confusingly named new iPad 2017 is a better value and the best iPad for most people because it covers all of the basics you need from an iOS 11 tablet. Meanwhile, the iPad Air 2 remains popular, even if Apple isn't selling it directly on its store anymore, and the aging iPad mini 4 launched way back in 2015 is probably on its way out eventually. Whatever the case, there's an iPad for you, and to make it easier to sift through them and find the right one, we've highlighted all the choices in a clear, concise way. So boot up your old tablet one last time, read through our rundown and get ready to upgrade. And if you prefer to watch than read, we've also put 4 of the best options head-to-head in a video showdown. For everyone else, you'll find a rundown of all the readily available iPads below, including the brand new iPad 2017 and second generation iPad Pro Duo. These come complete with full spec lists, the good and bad points, and a look at what makes them tick, so you can make an informed purchase decision. Looking for an Android tablet instead? Check out our best tablet ranking. Image 1 of 4, Image 2 of 4, Image 3 of 4, Image 4 of 41. New iPad 2017. Weight 469 grams. Dimensions 240 by 169.5 by 7.5 millimeters. OS iOS 11. Screen size 9.7 inch. Resolution 1536 by 2048 pixels. CPU A9. RAM 2 GB. Storage 32 128ths of a gigabyte. Micro SD slot. No battery. Up to 10 hours. Rear camera 8MP, front camera 1.2 MP. Affordable, great screen, thicker than the Air, only an A9 chipset. The best Apple iPad for most people isn't actually the most powerful, it's just the greatest value. The new iPad 2017 replaced the iPad Air 2 in Apple's lineup, slotting in below the Pro range. As such, it lacks the Smart Keyboard and Apple Pencil support and misses out on some of the power, but its A9 chipset is still very speedy, and the 9.7-inch 1536 by 2048 screen is sharp, bright and high quality. It also has the same luxurious metal unibody as the rest of Apple's iPad range, though notably it's ever so slightly thicker than the iPad Air 2 or iPad Pro 9.7 at 7.5 millimeters. With the Touch ID fingerprint sensor included, iOS 11 under the hood, and up to 10 hours of battery life when web browsing or watching videos, the new iPad 2017 is a great media player and a strong tablet choice if you're not planning to use it heavily for productivity. It starts at just $329, £339, or $469 too, which is cheap, especially if you get it for a lower price on Black Friday. No, it's not a cheap tablet like the Amazon Fire HD 10. You could buy 3 of those for this price, but Apple has the best tablet software experience bar none. Read the full iPad 2017 review. Image 1 of 3, Image 2 of 3, Image 3 of 3. Weight 469 grams. Dimensions 250.6 by 174.1 by 6.1 millimeters. OS iOS 10. Screen size 10.5 inch. Resolution 1668 by 2224 pixels. CPU A10X Fusion. RAM 4 GB. Storage 64 GB. 256 GB, 512 GB. Micro SD slot. No battery. 8134 mAh. Rear camera 12MP, front camera 7MP. Great speakers 512 GB. Version. Screen adds a lot of expensios. Still isn't a good laptop replacement. It's a tough decision over whether the new iPad Pro is the best iPad, or the more recent and more basic iPad, but the new Pro is in second solely on its higher price. If you can see past that, or you really need a tablet that can truly keep up with any app you want to throw at it while using a dedicated Apple Pencil and Smart Keyboard, this should be the device you look at. The new promotion screen adds an impressive layer of fluidity to daily use, if not strictly necessary, and the smaller bezels means you're getting far more display in a footprint not much bigger than 2016's 9.7. It's an iPad for the professionals, but also one that media munchers will adore using. Read the full review. iPad Pro 10.5 Image 1 of 3 Image 2 of 3 Image 3 of 3 Weight 677 grams Dimensions 305.7 by 220.6 by 6.9 millimeters OS iOS 11 Screen size 12.9 inch Resolution 2048 by 2732 pixels CPU A10X Fusion RAM 4 GB Storage 64 GB 256 GB 512 GB micro SD slot No battery 10,875 mAh Rear camera 12MP Front camera 7MP Great large tablet screen Tremendous power Too expensive as a laptop replacement for some way really like the iPad Pro for its size, and it's the closest thing we have to a 2-in-1 touchscreen MacBook. It just happens to run iOS 11 instead of macOS. It's the best productivity and entertainment tablet around thanks to its large 12.9-inch screen, 4 speakers and iOS 11 dock and multitasking interface. Its biggest weakness, the iPad Pro 12.9-inch price, and the size isn't a good fit for everyone. But if you can afford it and want the largest sized iPad available, you're going to love this. It's a laptop replacement for a lot of people out there. Read the hands-on review. iPad Pro 12.9 2017 Weight 437 grams Dimensions 240 by 169.5 by 6.1 millimeters OS iOS 11 Screen size 9.7 inch Resolution 1536 by 2048 pixels CPU A9X RAM 2 GB Storage 32/128 256 GB micro SD slot No battery up to 10 hours Rear camera 12MP Front camera 5MP Great speakers up to 256 GB of storage Expensive starting price Lower power than larger version for the average user. The iPad Pro 9.7 2016 is one of the best all-round options. The 9.7-inch screen strikes a great balance between being big enough to get far more out of than a phone screen and small enough to still be fairly portable. And although Apple has ditched the Air moniker at 240 by 169.5 by 6.1 millimeters and 437 grams, the iPad Pro 9.7 is every bit as thin and light as the iPad Air 2, but it lives up to the Pro name, with plenty of power afforded by its A9X chipset and 2 GB of RAM, 4 speakers for serious media potential, a beautiful true-tone screen, which adapts the color and intensity to your environment, and of course the ability to use the Smart Keyboard and Apple Pencil with it, if you want to use the Slate to actually get things done. The iPad Pro 9.7 2016 also comes with up to 256 GB of storage if you're prepared to pay, so you needn't feel limited by the lack of a micro SD card slot, and it's likely to remain a powerful and versatile tablet for years to come, so while it's expensive you might not feel the need to upgrade for a long time. Read the full iPad Pro 9.7 2016 review. Weight 299 grams Dimensions 203.2 by 134.8 by 6.1 millimeters OS iOS 10 Screen size 7.9 inch Resolution 1536 by 2048 pixels CPU A8 RAM 2 GB Storage 1630 seconds 64/128 of a gigabyte micro SD slot No battery 5124 mAh Rear camera 8MP Front camera 1.2MP Great screen slick design dated chipset No 3D touch. Big screens aren't for everyone, and that's where the 7.9-inch iPad mini 4 comes in. The screen size means it's far more portable than Apple's larger tablets, especially as it's light at 299 grams. It's not quite small enough that you can use it one-handed, but you can comfortably hold it for a lot longer than most of Apple's slates, or throw it in a bag and forget about it. It's also big enough to enjoyably browse the net or watch videos on when you're away from home and bigger screens, but it's obviously not quite as strong an experience for most visual media as Apple's larger 9.7, 10.5 and 12.9-inch slates. The small size and lack of smart connector also makes it worse for productivity than the iPad Pro range, but this isn't designed as a laptop replacement. It's still fairly powerful thanks to 2 GB of RAM and the aging but still impressive Apple A8 chip, while the screen is sharp, rich and easy to see even in bright sunlight. The iPad mini 4 is also a fraction of the price of Apple's Pro range, and with 128 GB of storage you needn't be terribly limited in that area, though it's no match for the 256 GB you can get in the iPad Pro. Read the full iPad mini 4 review. Weight 713 grams, dimensions 305.7 by 220.6 by 6.9 millimeters, OS iOS 10, screen size 12.9 inch, resolution 2048 by 2732 pixels, CPU A9X, RAM 4 GB, storage 32/128, 256 GB, micro SD slot, no battery, 10,307 mAh, rear camera 8 MP, front camera 1.2 MP. Hugely powerful big screen, powerfully huge battery life, could be longer. The iPad Pro 12.9 2016, or simply the iPad Pro as it's sometimes known, is in many ways a bigger and better version of the iPad Pro 9.7 2016. It matches the slate's 4 powerful speakers, accessory options and storage capacity, but at 12.9 inches the screen is significantly larger, while its 2048 by 2732 resolution ensures it retains the same 264 pixels per inch pixel density. It's also more powerful than its smaller sibling, combining the same Apple A9X chipset with a massive 4 GB of RAM. That power is undeniably a good thing, but the screen size will be more divisive, as while all its space is great if you plan to use it as a real laptop replacement, for running apps in split screen, or for watching a lot of movies, it leaves it a little unwieldy in other ways, especially as it makes the slate a hefty 713 grams. If you want the ultimate in portability, this isn't it. But if you can afford the high price and want the very biggest and most powerful tablet Apple has to offer, there can be no other choice than the iPad Pro 12.9. The full iPad Pro 12.9 2016 review. Weight 437 grams, dimensions 240 by 169.5 by 6.1 millimeters, OS iOS 10, screen size 9.7 inch, resolution 1536 by 2048 pixels, CPU A8X, RAM 2 GB, storage 1630 seconds, 60/128 of a gigabyte, micro SD slot, no battery, up to 10 hours, rear camera 8 MP, front camera 1.2 MP, powerful lovely screen, volume silencer gone, 16 GB is too little storage. The iPad Air 2 is the predecessor to the iPad Pro 9.7, and the difference in name gives a hint of what it's lacking, namely compatibility with the Smart Keyboard and Apple Pencil, along with the 4 powerful speakers found on the Pro range. It's not as strong for productivity then, but in many other ways the iPad Air 2 can almost match up to the iPad Pro 9.7, and all for a much lower price. For one thing, it has the same premium metal body, along with the same weight and dimensions, leaving it a slim and light 6.1 mm thick and 437 grams. It also has the same size and resolution 9.7 inch 1536 by 2048 screen, though behind the scenes more vivid colors and the True Tone tech for dynamically adjusted white balance in the iPad Pro 9.7 make the display altogether more impressive. But when the screen is already so good on the iPad Air 2, you might not miss those things, especially if you've not seen them in action. The Slate sports plenty of power too, matching the iPad Pro 9.7 for 2 GB of RAM and finding a middle ground between that and the iPad mini 4 with its A8X chipset. In short, if you don't need the productivity potential of the iPad Pro and can live with slightly dated but still solid specs, the iPad Air 2 is a strong choice. Read the full iPad Air 2 review. This iPhone 2018, which Apple phone should you buy?